I spoke to you about doing an exercise with you to be able to show people how some of this stress, the emotional reactivity is coming from more than just present day. So I had asked you to think about a time when you were emotionally upset. So can you describe it briefly?
I just find with the household, and I don't know, maybe taking too much on and perhaps not sharing the different responsibilities and feeling like I have to do it all around the house. And sometimes I have to stop and say, why? Why do I have to do it all? What's making me think that, you know, it can maybe slide a little bit, or encouraging the other members of the family to help me with it? Is it because I want it done now, or I think I need it done now, and if it doesn't get, if the response isn't immediate, then I'll just take it over myself.
All right, so what I want you to do is just for a minute, close your eyes, and I want you to get connected to the feelings that came with that incident that you're speaking of. And just keeping your eyes closed, tell me what you're feeling.
Frustration.
Okay.
Anxiety. A little bit of not maybe mad and angry aren't necessarily true. Maybe losing control.
Right.
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just quickly scan your body and see where you're holding those emotions, because our mind and body are directly connected. And go to where they are in your body.
Yeah. I think shoulders, neck. In the throat a little bit too, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what I want you to do is just float way back, holding these feelings, anger, frustration, a little bit of losing control. Float way back to when you were a kid, because this is where we learn all of our programming. We don't even know we're doing it. But just float back and tell me what pops in.
Very busy household. And family of six, four children, and my mom and dad, and I guess trying to keep things. My dad was working full time. My mom wasn't, and I think trying to keep this household running with all these children, and the fact that perhaps she was at home and being able to do, you know, all the stuff and as much as she could. And with the children, as I was saying, I was the oldest out of four, so perhaps there was this expectation of me taking the leadership role and taking the role in order to set examples, maybe trying to emulate my mom, but setting examples for the other siblings as well. And we were very close in age. The kids were all a year apart, so we were very, very close in age, and not necessarily being successful with that.
Okay, okay. So you had a strong sense of responsibility, which is a very common thing for an eldest child, right? Whether it's put on us or we put it on ourselves, it doesn't matter. It's all about how we see the world as little people. So here you are having this present day experience, and you have this huge emotional, intense reaction inside. Maybe someone's not even done anything, but you're starting to have this emotional intensity. So I guarantee everybody that if you stop and look at where did you learn that from, it's evident from what you're describing to me is that it was that you don't have control. You maybe remember you didn't have control over your siblings and you felt a sense of responsibility as the eldest.
Yeah.
So all those feelings that we store in our computer mind comes rushing forward present day, but we're not aware of that. It's often unconscious.
Yeah.
I call that the 80-20 rule. 80% of our emotion, often present day, is coming from something from the past.
Yeah, I can see that definitely, and you know, and again, you know, trying to sort of think back to, I mean, I had a wonderful childhood, and it was, and it was great, but you know, perhaps, like I said, seeing all the things that perhaps my mother accomplished when we were at home as kids, and I'm thinking, I should be able to do that, but it's, realistically, you can't. I wish there were more hours in a day, you know, to do it, and I think a lot of it I do bring on myself. I do bring it upon myself. When you were talking about don't sweat the small stuff, I actually bought that book from my husband, and he keeps giving it back to me. He's saying, you should be reading this, and I think that, yeah, perhaps I should.